This is a very short and clear and concise bill, so short that I'm going to just sit here and read it to you right now. So, all this does, I'm going to read directly from the bill. All income benefits otherwise payable pursuant to this chapter for temporary total disability shall be offset by the payments of any wages to an employee by his or her employer in consideration of work performed by an employee that is returned to work in a light duty or other alternative job position during the period of temporary total disability. Okay. The need for this legislation arose from a Kentucky court case, the Quad Graphics case. And this is a recent Supreme Court decision, and to sum it all up for the sake of time, I'll give these guys some time to speak. This case basically said that someone who had returned to light duty work and had been getting their benefit, getting paid by their employer, and it was later litigated that they were entitled to their benefits, their TTD, that the employer could not offset that TTD with the amount of money that they had already been paid. And that was a change from the way things had previously gone before, and it was basically, before, we felt it was implied in the law that there was, once someone was paid by their employer, that they were not entitled to a double recovery. So this legislation attempts to fix that. We feel it's a technical change in the law. If not passed, this case will give an incentive to the employer to not provide light duty work to an employee. If they have to pay double, it'll be an incentive not to provide the light duty work. Another couple of things that it does is, an important thing to point out is an employee is not currently required to do the light duty work or come back to work. So it's still the choice of the worker whether or not to do the light duty work. And without this, it will be much higher cost to the employers, to the companies in this state.
This bill first came on our radar back this summer when one of our members of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, Quad Graphics, told us about this case. So we've worked over the past several months with Senator West and with JD at the Kentucky League of Cities to try to find a solution to this issue. So with this bill, if an employee returns to work at light duty capacity, meaning they are still entitled to their TDD, and also earns wages paid by the employer during that period of light duty work, the employer would be entitled to a credit applied to any TTD award. This will ensure fairness in that the injured worker does not receive a double recovery when they return to work. It is the goal, like Senator West said, of the Workers' Compensation Act to return employees to work. That is critical. Allowing a credit against TTD for wages paid by the employer while the employee is working at light duty incentivizes the return to work by the employee, and also incentivizes employers for having a light duty back to work program. This is critical because research has shown that workers who do not return very quickly are unlikely to return later. And of course, as in any case, like Senator West mentioned, the injured worker has the choice to accept light duty work or to receive his workers' comp benefits. So this legislation really for us is a top priority this session, and we believe that without the credit, employers will ultimately have higher costs.
Our city governments over the course of time have been really aggressive as the employer of the majority of most first responders in this state at instituting and adopting these return to work programs at the city level. It's benefited both the employee and it's benefited our citizens who they serve by getting them back to work faster. So this Supreme Court decision that we're trying to address here was a little bit of a surprise. The court held that there was a problem in the law. They looked at the statute. They said the statute doesn't allow the offset. But if you look at the court's decision, they readily recognized what a persuasive public policy point that Quad Graphics was making in the case to not allow an employee to have a double recovery. And they concluded the opinion by saying that public policy debate appropriately lies in this body's hands, the General Assembly. And that's exactly what Senator West's bill does, Senate Bill 151. It's a really simple and logical solution that says if an employee chooses, if they choose, to return to work in a light duty position fashioned by the employer, if they decide to do that before they meet maximum medical improvement, that any wages earned would be offset against their TTD benefits. That's really simple. The employee wants to return to work. The employee, in our case, they want to continue earning their retirement benefits. If they're off on workers' comp, that doesn't count to creditable compensation in earning the retirement benefit.